Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Astro Bloom podcast. It's been a while. My name is Vanya. I'm an astrologer and alchemist, and 2024 was a year. It was, yeah, I know that many of you went through lots of, difficult transitions, myself included, and needless to say, things kind of dropped off for me with the podcast, but I am back with a brand new episode for you that I'm so excited to share all of this insight with you. This, I feel like this shift that we're just coming into with the lunar nodes of fate entering Pisces and Virgo on January 11th, 2025 is so incredibly potent for anyone that has Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini energy in their charts. And speaking as a person with um, a Virgo Sun and a Pisces Moon, I'm feeling this shift really, really profoundly. And I wanted to take the time to talk to you about what I'm really sensing with this energy and how it actually really links into the practice and the teachings of Tantra, which is something that I've really been diving into as I've been processing immense amounts of grief over the last year with a cross country move, with a very long term relationship and marriage ending, and just all of the change and the grief and the loss that comes with all of that. So, I just would like to invite you, first of all, before we get into all of this, to just really land in your body here. Maybe take a moment to just take a few deep breaths, feel the earth beneath your feet, or if you're sitting, laying down, feel the surface beneath you. Bring some awareness to your surroundings, take a look around, and if it feels comfortable for you, close your eyes and just ground into the here and now. Allowing the breath to bring you into the present moment as you prepare to take in this information that's coming your way. First of all, I want to cover the topic of Tantra. So I know that a lot of neo-tantric teachers, gurus, whatnot, teachings really have shaped, I think, a lot of the Western world's understanding of Tantra as something that really has to do with like intimacy with another. And that for sure is an element of Tantra, but actually, Tantra is more of a way of life. It is really about um, living fully in the present moment. It's about engaging fully through the senses and embracing the full spectrum of human emotion. Tantra is about finding that interconnectedness between yourself, between everything that surrounds you, understanding that you are divine and that that divine light lives in everything else around you, in plants, other people, in animals, and just everything in the universe is interconnected. And Tantra, of course, is the basis of modern yoga as well. And that's, where that saying comes from, the divine light sees and honors the divine in me, sees and honors the divine in you, right? Namaste. This is that recognition that everything is divine, everything is sacred. And so, as beings who incarnate on this earth in this physical body, Tantra is about really understanding that um, the path to spirituality or to the divine within us actually happens through connection to the present moment and to our bodies that we have been given in this life. And so that's why there is a link between, Tantra and pleasure and all of these things, because we have these human bodies for a reason. We are in them to experience what it means to be human. And that means engaging through all of our senses and integrating those senses into our daily life. Now you might be wondering, how does this connect in with the Pisces and Virgo nodes? And for those of you that don't know, the nodes that I'm talking about are these calculated points in the sky. They're called the lunar north and south node, the nodes of the moon or the nodes of fate. And they're basically these points in the sky that are involved in our eclipse seasons. And about every 18 months, they change signs. And so recently, over the last 18 months, we've had the nodes in Aries and Libra. So we've been really examining like our relationship patterns, our relationship to attachment versus authenticity. We've really been looking at like how our past experiences of relationships, usually through our childhood, have influenced our ability to be in balanced relationships, which relationships allow us to be authentic and have our autonomy, or which relationship patterns and which ones do not, perhaps, or how do they have to shift or change to allow for that, and vice versa. Are we being too independent, too autonomous? Are we not allowing people into our lives because we're afraid that that means we're going to lose our freedom? So those of us who've had a lot of Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer energy likely had some profound shifts, particularly during eclipse season, so in the spring and the fall, in our relationships and our relating patterns, right? And so now we have the nodes shifting into Pisces and Virgo. And I say shifting, they did already shift. They shifted on January 11th. And basically we have the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo. So these nodes are these faded portals. When they are activated, when they change signs, and particularly when they become activated by other transits, planets, by the eclipses, which are really faded portals of spiritual realignment, we collectively are invited to embody the properties of these signs. And the South Node represents the thing that we are collectively trying to raise to the highest vibration, by letting go of the shadow tendencies of that sign. And then the North Node represents the energy that we are all learning about, the energy that we are being invited to move into so that we can grow and expand and align ourselves on our spiritual path. So this is obviously going to be even more potent for you, again, if you are a Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, or if you have prominent energy in those signs, and if your own nodes are potentially in Pisces and Virgo. This energy of the Pisces and Virgo axis is the axis of service. So how are we being of service to those in our immediate surroundings and our work, right? But also on a greater collective level, how are we serving something bigger than ourselves? At the same time, this axis is really the balance between the spiritual and real life. It is the balance between the transcendental and the embodied, the formless and the structured. It is the balance between the body and the mind. Pisces ruling more of like the emotional body, the energetic body, and Virgo being more connected to the mind. So this is the energy of really trying to find the balance also between control and surrender. Pisces is the water sign. This is an energy that is represented by the fish, two fish held together by the cord. Pisces is this mystic. It's this energy of flow, of surrender, of creativity, of spirituality, of having faith, of boundlessness, of the understanding that we are all interconnected. And again, that like principle of like the divine living within you, because actually the fish are representations of one of them being the human and one of them being the divine aspect of us as human beings. And they are bound together by a cord because they cannot be separated. So Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac teaches us that, yeah, we all come from the same place, right? We all come from source. And we are all from that same origin, and we will all return to the same origin when our time on Earth here is done. So Pisces, ruled by the energy of Neptune, with the modern ruler being Neptune, the traditional ruler being Jupiter, invites us into this surrender into the infinite, right? Neptune is all about dissolving boundaries. It's about connecting with universal love, intuition, and spiritual flow. It's about being in that mysticism, in that trust, right? In the trust that the universe has our backs, in the trust that like we might think that we know what's best for us, but at the end of the day, any tendency to try to control things too much usually doesn't work out in our favor, because it's really about surrendering to the fact that we know much less than we think we know. And the universe might actually have plans for you that surpass your wildest imagination, right? So it's about having that trust and being able to surrender to not knowing. Now, this is the North Node, right? We're leaning into this flow. We're leaning into this surrender. We're leaning into this spirituality, into trusting in the unseen, in the energy, in how things feel, not necessarily how they present in your mind or what you think is the right decision. With the Virgo South Node, we want to again raise this to its highest vibration. So Virgo's gifts really are gifts of discernment, gifts of being able to tend to our bodies, to take care of our bodies, to tend to like the practical details of life, to be of service. It's really this energy of, yeah, having discernment, knowing where your energy is best spent, and also being able to refine things and make things more efficient. And again, like really tend to our physical vessels, knowing that our physical vessels, our bodies are actually the vessel for the divine light within us, right? So it's really this understanding that the body is sacred as well. At the same time, some of the shadow tendencies that are really being brought to light with this shift are the fact that Virgo can be so discerning that it sometimes has a hard time seeing the forest for the trees, right? Everything is either black or white. They need to have an answer all the time. They need to have a plan. They need to feel like they have everything under their control, or that like they need to know the outcome to something before they actually take the first step. And this is really where the energy of Virgo can be quite detrimental, in the sense that we can't actually control everything in life. And we have to understand that there are only a few things that we can control, and what we can control is how we want to react to certain situations, scenarios, occurrences, whatever in our life, right? And so that's where the way that we like talk to ourselves, right? The thoughts that we have, the way that we perhaps perceive or judge the world, um, is where that Virgo energy comes into. because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is the mind. And Virgo energy is needed for that Pisces as an anchor, right? Because without Virgo, the opposite of Pisces, Pisces would be up in the clouds floating away, right? Completely ungrounded in reality. So we still need Virgo. We need Virgo to say, hey, come down here, come back to your body, take care of your body, right? Um, put the spiritual wisdom and insights and that connection to the divine within into practical use to be of service too, right? Build some kind of routine for yourself so that you can stay grounded, you can stay present. So, I mean, as someone with a Pisces Moon and a Virgo Sun, I've felt this duality my whole life. And my Pisces Moon often pulls me into this transcendental realm, the realm of emotions, dreams, the collective unconscious. It's this kind of, I mean, I've had people close to me tell me that, like, I kind of go somewhere else, right? There's this world that I inhabit that isn't here. It's not here. It's not in the now. And there's so much inspiration and beauty that comes from that. But at the same time, it can really allow you to, feel deeply and surrender to the beauty of the unknown and go with the flow. But there are moments when I catch myself in like the shadow expression of that Pisces energy, which is floating away, feeling untethered, right? Ungrounded, escaping through substances, through my imagination, through TV, through reading, through whatever it might be, right? Using ways to detach from reality. These are things we want to be aware of too, as we're all learning about the North Node energy. But really, the beauty of this balance and the gift that my Virgo Sun really provides me with is it's this anchor, right? It's this earth energy. It guides me to create structure and intentionality in how I embody those transcendental experiences. This has been so, so true for me in these moments of immense transformation, ungrounding, grief over this last year. As many of you know, I got out of a 14-year relationship and moved across the country. And it was my Pisces moon that allowed me to feel the depth of these emotions and sort of trust the process of surrendering and trust my intuition and really be able to go with like how things feel and trust that there's truth in that. And I might not have all the answers how everything is going to pan out, but I know what I feel, and that is the only truth that I need to take the step. But through this process, I definitely found myself escaping much more because I didn't want to be with I didn't want to be with the grief. I didn't want to be with the difficult experience of the life that I had left behind, right? And all the loss that came through that. And so my Virgo Sun has been this really grounding force for me, reminding me to come back to my body through grounding practices, right? Like spending time in nature, cooking for myself, journaling, finding the spiritual in the mundane tasks of daily life. And this balance between feeling everything, allowing yourself to feel the full spectrum of human emotion, whether it is quote unquote good or bad, and grounding that into action and grounding it into your daily life is the essence of Tantra.
Are you interested in unlocking the full expression of your authentic self through plants and planets? Go to astrobloom.ca and use the code ASTROBLOOMPOD to save 10% off of your astrology reading.
And, we're going to be working with these nodes for the next 18 months, and we haven't had these same nodes for 18 years. So if you want to know how this energy is going to affect you, you might want to look back, 18 years ago, what was happening in your life over that 18-month period. And for reference, we're in 2025 right now, so we'd be looking 18 years back from that. And yeah, I mean, really, when we talk about, like I said, when we talk about Tantra, right, the invitation of Tantra, and I think for me, like, it is so incredibly relevant to be talking about Tantra right now with this Pisces Virgo nodal shift, because this Pisces Virgo nodal shift is all about living fully in the paradox of the transcendental and the embodied, right? Pisces and Virgo. Tantra teaches us that the divine is not only found in meditation or ecstatic states of bliss, in those Pisces realms. It's also found in the seemingly mundane aspects of life, cleaning, folding laundry, taking care of a garden, washing dishes, drinking your cup of coffee in the morning, making your meal for the day. These are the things that Virgo rules, right? It is that daily life, and the practice of Tantra and of these nodes is asking us to find sacredness in all aspects of life, weaving the formless spirituality of Pisces into the structured embodiment of Virgo. And like I mentioned, for me, this tantric balance has become a way of life. Now, I'm nowhere near perfect, and there are times when, like I mentioned, really hard times, I haven't been able to stay grounded. I've kind of floated away with my Pisces moon and with those tendencies. My Pisces moon does tend to often seek escape in the vastness of like wanting to feel that connection to source again, right? And wanting to escape the difficulties of life on earth, right? The difficult emotions we might feel, the pain and suffering we might witness, right, in others as well. But this Virgo duality or polarity of my sun, and right now the South Node, calls us back to Earth. What can you create from this inspiration, from this connection to the divine? And, how can you honor your body as a vessel for this divine energy that lives within you? So ways that you might really interweave these two energies, especially when I feel like my Pisces moon is running away, right, seeking escape, is I might really sit with my feet on the grass. I might really come back into my body, dance, put on some music, dance, right? Maybe light a candle, prepare a meal for myself, even if I really don't feel like cooking. Keep it simple, right? And this really allows that balance of the cosmic and the earthly to coexist within you. So this nodal shift encourages us to all embrace this duality. It reminds us that surrendering to the flow of life, Pisces, doesn't mean abandoning the structures that allow us to hold that flow. Also, focusing on the practical doesn't mean losing touch with the magic of intuition and spiritual connection to a certain degree. Right? If we are so rigid, if we have such strict boundaries, if we only classify things in black or white or right or wrong or this way or that way, then yes, that is going to take the magic out of life. It's not going to allow room for the universe to step in and to surprise you. It's not going to allow room for redirection. And this is where your mind might be your worst enemy because you might have certain thought patterns, you might have certain ideas around how things are meant to pan out for you. And it is about opening up and questioning perhaps where those stories come from and saying to the universe, this or something better. Allowing yourself to be surprised by the things that you cannot see. These two energies, when balanced, create a life of presence in intention and sacred connection. This is really, yeah, this is really how Tantra asks us to merge the physical and the practical with the emotional and the mystical. And it's so aligned with this nodal shift of Pisces and Virgo. And I'd really like to invite you to, reflect on this balance in your own life. I think reflecting on this balance, especially in moments of difficult transitions or emotional upheaval, is really potent because it's a really potent way to stay grounded in the present. And, maybe taking a moment in your day, in your week, to ask yourself how you can stay surrendered to the flow of life while remaining grounded in your body. And really trusting what's coming up for you intuitively, right? Again, finding that balance between flow and surrender. And I'd like to suggest some practices as well that can really align you to the energy of these nodes. So if we're talking about really tuning into this Pisces North Node energy, we're talking about rituals that really allow us to connect into our flow and intuition and mysticism. So it's meditative and divination type practices like tarot cards and oracle cards and meditating and also working with that water elements, like maybe taking ritual baths, right? Some ecstatic dance or free flowing movement, and also creative expression, painting, drawing, music, all sorts of things like that. Whereas with the Virgo energy, you want to think about practical rituals. How do you find sacredness in the things that seem really mundane? So how can you make cooking a more sacred practice, perhaps? How can your walk become more sacred to you? Maybe it's pausing to actually appreciate the plants, or the way the sun touches your face, or the way the air moves through your hair, whatever it is. It's about engaging through the senses. It's also about tending to your body with care. And it's also about creating grounding routines that honor your physical and mental well-being. And finally, it's about practicing discernment and not to the point of detriment. It's all about knowing what or who is worth your energy but not being so closed off that we can't open our hearts up to new connections or experiences. And I would like to invite you now. First, I'll just summarize sort of what we've talked about, and then I'll invite you into a little bit of an embodiment practice, a brief one at the end. But yeah, before we move into that, I just wanted to kind of round out the fact that this shift that's just happened is again going to impact those mutable signs the most. So Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. But it's going to affect you wherever you have Pisces and Virgo in your chart, because you do have those energies in your chart regardless. And wherever this is in your chart, you're going to be invited into this balance, right? And be really invited to connect more into that spirituality, into finding the spiritual in the mundane, and finding that balance between the emotional and the physical, the mind and the body. And if you want to learn more about this, I have my Lunar Alchemy Collective that I'll link in the show notes, which is a monthly moon circle essentially. And in this monthly moon circle, there are some resources for you to be able to like read your own chart and see, what house is being activated for you and what that means. So that can be useful for any type of transit. If you want to dive deeper into learning astrology with me, I do also have a course called Lunar Astrology Foundations, which you can find out about on my website. And finally, this tantric path really has been, like I mentioned, such a hugely healing journey for me through this very transformational time and this really difficult time over the last year or so. And it's something that I've used to move through immense loss and grief. And by allowing that space to feel some of those lower vibrational emotions, right? Some of those things that we tend to avoid, it's really allowed me to come back into more pleasure, more joy, more connection in my life. Because for a long time, I was very disconnected from feeling anything, really. Because I didn't want to feel the grief of what I knew was coming. I completely disconnected myself from feeling altogether. And this is something we often do as a society. We kind of live in this monotone expression because we haven't been taught how to feel grief or how to feel things that are difficult, right? Grief just being an example of something that is quite difficult to hold space for. And that we haven't been taught how to process, but there's many more emotions that we haven't been taught to process, right? Maybe anger, loneliness, whatever it might be. Instead, we tend to numb out, we tend to escape. And at the same time, we don't realize that by numbing out, by escaping, by not feeling those low vibrational emotions, we numb ourselves to the high vibrational emotions and experiences of joy, connection, love, pleasure. And this is what Tantra has allowed me to create capacity for in my life, is to experience more joy, to reconnect to my sensuality, to reconnect to my power in a lot of ways, to reconnect to my body. And so this is why I'm so excited to share my freebie with you, which is the Astro Ritual Guide for Emotional Healing to Unlock Pleasure. I dive into 2 really potent placements in your astrology chart and give you customized rituals based on your unique blueprint so that you can give space to the full spectrum of human emotion and integrate tantric rituals into your daily life that are going to allow you to feel those things that we crave, right? Pleasure, joy, love, peace. And I also have a free sorry, I also have not a free, that's the free guide, but I also have a mini course that's going to be coming your way soon. That's going to take you even deeper. And this free mini course is using Tantra to heal grief through astrology and Tantra. So, yeah, what I meant to say is healing grief through astrology and Tantra. Getting a little tongue tied there. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And with that, I'm going to invite you to find just a few moments here to connect with this Pisces Virgo axis. So if you're not in a quiet space already, find a quiet space and close your eyes. Start to connect to your breath, taking some deep breaths in and out, sighing a few times, letting everything go. And picture yourself standing in a beautiful, calm body of water as it caresses your skin. Maybe you allow yourself to float on the surface of that water. Allowing the water to take away any heaviness you might be feeling, any anxiety, any worries. With every gentle rock of the waves, you feel yourself dissolving into this vast body of water. Feeling a sense of trust and surrender, peace, knowing that this water will take you anywhere you need to go. You might not know the destination, but you have such deep trust in the universe. And you're able to fully surrender and trust that it knows the way. Expressing gratitude to the universe, the divine light within you, for always guiding you forward. And slowly starting to come back into the present moment by wiggling fingers and toes. And I encourage you to now really lean into that energy of Virgo. So I'd like to invite you to do this by just performing a small intentional act of care for yourself. So maybe this is going to be a cup of tea where you stir in some intentions for nourishment, for grounding. Maybe you give yourself a little massage, some oil, or maybe you just want to declutter your space and just make it feel really homey and cozy and clean. And as you do that, repeat an affirmation. I ground the wisdom of the cosmos into my body. and my life. So may it be, and so it is. I hope that this episode has been insightful for you. I'm sure there will be much more to come on this as we move through our eclipses that are coming up in March. There's 2 in March and 2 in September. Yeah, this is going to be a really potent year, and it's this is just one fraction of the astrology this year, because the astrology this year is insanely transformative. There's so much stuff that we haven't seen in our lives actually. So I will talk more about that, but for now, I'm gonna say bye and thank you for listening.